Boom. Hey folks, how you doing? Happy Monday. Dr. Dan in the house again. Just wanted to touch base, say hi, welcome everyone into the new week. Got some wonderful weather here in Northwest Arkansas. Grateful to be here talking to you guys. Listen, I just wanted to jump in today regarding microdosing cannabis and how to go about awakening your intuition and why that's important, how to go about really just healing the body and healing the mind sort of interdependently, because the mind and body, they're connected. I touch on this from time to time, but really being able to tap in and really access and enjoy the fruits of our intuition, I think it's really key to making progress in finding emotional equilibrium. Okay, this is important. This is a real aim of a whole lot of people who are using cannabis products, really just to get an overall, just general big picture sense of calm. Okay, that's really, really advantageous to be able to turn down the volume of the distraction in our lives. I think we're looking for that a whole lot. Just really given the breakneck pace of our modern lives, being able to get some degree of calm and slow things down can come to a real great benefit to us, So cheers, water break, guys. Got to stay hydrated. So, first I wanted to get into the microdosing aspect of it and why that's important as opposed to macrodosing or the recreational level dosing to access your intuition, guys. And when I'm talking about our intuition, I'm talking about our stored consciousness. It's really deep within our brains. You're talking about stuff that's buried way, way, way down deep that we're not accessing, that we're not thinking about, really from a cortical sense in our day-to-day executive functions. Okay. These are things that usually pop out really only, when we're in very calm, restful periods, or kind of as we're drifting off to sleep at night, finally, after we've stopped counting sheep and worrying about whatever we've been worrying about. Oftentimes these intuitive thoughts or very deeply buried memories or intentions or ideas, these things start to percolate up to the surface. But really, in order for the conditions for that to be there for these ideas to pop up, we really have to have the background noise very, very settled. And that's where the microdose part comes in. Oftentimes we want to access this sort of state, not just as we're falling off to sleep, even though that is advantageous. We want to access this sort of feeling of calm while we're coming and going about our regular day. We can have little anxious moments, little stimuli pop up all throughout the day. And really at the end of the day, it's going to be this sum total of micro annoyances that come to just throw us off of that happy harmony equilibrium level, And as far as cannabis goes, we often roll back to this idea of equilibrium or homeostasis. Homeostasis really just keeping things at an overall equal point. We can use it synonymously with equilibrium. All right, just maintaining balance. That's where the endocannabinoid system comes in. That's why we're talking about cannabis and microdosing. When people go through a day where they experiences all of these micro annoyances, what happens is we experience an endocannabinoid system deficit. Okay, each one takes a little bite, takes a little piece from our ECS reserve. And it's really this ECS, this endocannabinoid system reserve, that we fall back on in order to bring us back to a homeostatic level. But sometimes we can endure so much, insult, if you want to call it that, throughout the day, that we finish off with an ECS deficit. So when you microdose cannabis, long story short, the whole point behind microdosing cannabis is really just to make up this deficit. Much like we hydrate to make up the deficit, a free water deficit in our body, when we're dehydrated, we drink water to make up that deficit. So the whole reasoning behind microdosing to calm the mind and free that intuition so that we can really let our really identity defining characteristics, so we can let those bubble up to the surface. Microdosing cannabis just does a good job of calming the background noise of anxiety, stress, disturbing memories, things like that, that sort of provide resistance to letting those inner thoughts just come forth. Okay, those inner thoughts, we really just have to open the door and invite the mind to let things come up and bloom up. Okay, it's sort of like if you think about the outside of your mind, the cortex of your mind just sort of being on the outside, and the core of your mind sort of being right in the middle. If you can think about it like a cylinder, continuous with your brainstem and your spinal cord, that inner part is, if you can kind of think about it like a mushroom cloud or a zipper effect, as it comes up and bubbles up from the middle, it'll mushroom out. Okay, that's sort of how our intuition works, and that's just a diagrammatic example that I wanted to put forth for people. But literally, those thoughts buried deep in our brain, these are ancestral thoughts that have been shaped by thousands of years of evolution, that in our modern day, for the most part, we've put it deep into our core consciousness, because I think our thinking is that it's not useful to our daily lives. But nothing could be further from the truth. Even in our modern day lives, the reason why we carry around this information that's packed in our DNA, right? All these answers, all these ideas, these ways of going about living and thinking, these things are packed in our DNA, and these things have been shaped by years of natural selection and evolution. Okay, so these are good things. We carry them around for a reason. All right, these aren't just archaic things that we decided to keep along, like our tailbone and a tail, totally different. That's why we don't have a tail. It's no use for it. But these things that are stored deep in our store consciousness, they're there for us to use and access and utilize to bring about a better life here in the modern world. We still carry around a very primal self that wants to survive and enjoy life and enjoy everything that life has to offer, and simply just relying on our modern day ideas and things that revolve around our everyday stress to get money and do all of these superficial things. That's a superficial brain function, right? That's not accessing your whole brain. That's not being a complete human. All right, that will inevitably lead to ruin and early death, which I've heard is not popular, apparently. Go figure. So, guys, I just wanted to lend some awareness to that for those who are curious, for those who might be bothered by things like stress or anxiety, things like insomnia. All of these things are due to a buildup of stresses that have not gone addressed, and really finding a low toxicity level intervention, something like cannabis, might be a good idea for people who are thinking about addressing this idea and really coming to learn about themselves and learn how to access that happy, harmonious part of themselves that can guide them to live the sort of life that they want deep down inside, right? That they might not know. And I think the most surprising thing is you can get answers from yourself if you just let them out, as opposed to having to stress yourself out with going to find answers that are somewhere way far away that have nothing to do with you. Okay. I came across a wise saying, you can always travel to another sky, but at the end of the day, you're still you. Okay. So we're always going to be with our own souls. So being able to have an access point to open the door to really get a good look at and let that part pour out, we have to just kindly open the door and really set the scene for our conscience to feel safe. It has to have a safe place. Otherwise, when we're distracted by anxiety and all of those things going on, it's not going to be a place where our intuition is going to be trusted. Okay, when we have anxiety, we don't trust our intuition, we second guess it. So in order to get ourselves to a point where we can feel our intuition and let it bloom in full, we really have to do ourselves a favor and set the stage, okay? And allow our minds a little serenity and just a good meeting place where these things that are buried deep in our core consciousness, they'll have a canvas to come out and show their true colors, okay? So microdosing, just a really good idea, guys. Keeping the dose where we can still have some sort of forebrain activity and linearity of thought where we can actually greet these core thoughts. That's why the idea of microdosing is important, because otherwise our mind will be too racy and we won't be able to hold on to these great ideas that bubble up from our core consciousness, and we won't be able to greet them one by one as they effervesce and come up to the surface. Okay, so that's why the idea of microdosing is really, really key. That's how we really, really engage the endocannabinoid system to its maximal potential. That's why I talk about microdosing so often. So it's a thing that I'd like to invite you guys to just try out and just open your minds to and see if it works. You know, at the end of the day, we're really just trying to get people to live better, live longer, live more serene, peaceful, happy lives, and be able to spend all the time that they can with their friends and families, right? You know, kumbaya. Good stuff. Listen, hey folks, it's always a pleasure to join you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share these videos on your social media channel. Apart from that, guys, be well to each other, dose wisely, and enjoy the rest of your week, okay? Dr. Dan, peace out.